and one of the biggest treasures for Halloween time. Number 3 on the list is a horror comedy from 1985 called Fright Night, which I consider to be the greatest vampire movie ever made. And with the possible exception of the original Psycho, Fright Night would have to be my favorite movie of all time. It's one of those extremely ambitious horror films that aims to make you feel every possible emotion, but despite its radical shifts in tone, it flows magnificently well, and it never hits one wrong note. It's hilarious and goofy, but there's also a lot of tenderness, mostly because of two characters. There's Evil Ed, who is a teenage loner who would probably be happier as a member of the undead, and the other character is Peter Vincent. Fright Night was written and directed by Tom Holland, an enormously talented guy who also wrote Psycho 2 and Child's Play. Those films also had an effective balance of suspense and sincerity. Fright Night also contains some marvelous special effects and one of the strongest soundtracks you'll ever hear. And despite having very little nudity, this is a very sexy movie, mostly because of Chris Sarandon's performance as the suave and irresistible Jerry Dandridge, who perfectly captures the pain and heartbreak and the pleasure and power of being a vampire. Chris Sarandon also starred in the previous movie on the list, as he provided the speaking voice of Jack Skellington. And he was also in a movie that I'm sure every one of you loves, The Princess Bride. He was Prince Humperdinck. But his performance in Fright Night is legendary. You might also recognize two other cast members. They play the teenage lovebirds of Fright Night. There's William Ragsdale and Amanda Bierce. You'll know them if you ever watched the shows Married with Children and Herman's Head. Fright Night isn't necessarily a Halloween film, but there is a strong presence of autumn. Lots of fallen leaves and lots of fog. And every time I watch it, I really feel the Halloween spirit. I showed it at a Halloween party last year, and I think it went over very well. I can't imagine anybody not liking Fright Night. I know it's impossible for me to be objective because I've loved this movie ever since I was a kid, and it's always a really special relationship with the movie when you loved it as a kid, but you love it even more as an adult, and you really appreciate new things about it with each viewing. Alright, the next movie is a no-brainer. It is John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978, and I'm not going to go into too much detail here because there's not a whole lot I could say that you haven't already heard 100 times. I will say that it is a great movie to have on DVD because you will watch it more than once, and there is a whole second disc filled with some really interesting extras. And as far as the other entries go in the Halloween series, a few of them are pretty worthy. Halloween 4 and 5 especially I think are better than average. Halloween H2O I thought was decent as well. I might have been a little bit too easy on it because I was under the impression that it was the last we were going to see of Michael Myers, and at the time I thought it ended the series with a lot of grace. But all that dignity was ruined when Resurrection came out. That movie was an abortion. It was unwatchable, and just like with so many profitable horror series, they just refuse to die with dignity. And pretty soon you're going to see Michael Myers in 3D. Personally, I think 3D sucks. I think it's a stupid way to watch a movie, and I don't know why these movies keep making money. And finally, the #1 greatest movie to watch on Halloween night is, this was an easy choice, from 1994, starring Ted Danson and Macaulay Culkin, Getting Even with Dad. Actually, on second thought, I'm going to change my mind and make the #1 movie for Halloween. And for those of you who don't really know the whole history behind Trick or Treat, I'll fill you in right now. In 2007, early 2007, I was reading Fangoria, and they were talking about Trick or Treat. It was going to be an anthology film, which meant several different stories in one movie, and they were all going to have a Halloween theme. And right from the start, this project excited the hell out of me. And then once the trailer came out, I realized that this movie was going to be huge. And Warner Brothers seemed to think so too, because they showed the trailer for as a coming attraction in a couple big films. And if you watch the 300 DVD, apparently Trick or Treat comes on in the beginning. And then it was going to come out in October 2007, but then in August, Warner Brothers decided that they couldn't compete against Saw 4 for some fucked up reason, and they shelved the movie for 2 years. And it would play at festivals, it had special screenings, and every time the audience just went crazy for it. And several great horror critics called it an instant classic, said maybe the best Halloween movie ever made. So yeah, it's been a very long and frustrating 2-year wait, especially since every month it seemed like we were being annoyed with completely useless sequels and remakes and torture porn, and all that time Warner Brothers had a true gem on their hands and they just refused to let us in on the fun, and that is just unforgivable. It's just, it's so infuriating how originality is now just completely being punished in Hollywood, and Warner Brothers had no idea how to market a film that was not a remake and not a sequel, and had some comedic elements. And it was finally announced in 2009 that Trick or Treat was going to be released, but as a direct-to-DVD movie. Obviously, this had mixed reactions with everybody. You know, this film deserved to be seen in theaters. I got my DVD on Tuesday, and my first instinct, of course, was to watch it, but I figured since I've waited this long, I could wait a few more days. I had a trick-or-treat movie night planned for last night, and I guess I just really wanted to experience it for the first time with other people, and it was worth the wait. It might be prudent to watch it a couple more times before doing an online review, but I am quite certain that it deserves to be #1 on this list. It's amusing, scary, refreshingly original. I love how it contains 4 separate tales, but they are intermingled in really inventive ways. I think what Trick or Treat does best is show the true beauty of Halloween and autumn. And for a film that takes place pretty much entirely at night, it's remarkably colorful. I have never seen so many jack-o'-lanterns and foliage and just general Halloween cheer in another movie before. And I give writer-director Michael Dougherty so much credit for transferring his obvious obsession of Halloween to film in such a convincing, authentic, and entertaining way. Another thing I liked about it is that for the 4 tales, they're each dominated by a different age group. One tale has children, another one has an elderly man, and so it's really neat and interesting to see all these different age groups, see all these people of different ages, how they celebrate Halloween in Warrenton, Ohio. This is based upon my first viewing, but my favorite story would have to be the one involving the Halloween school bus massacre. It's easily one of the creepiest and most unsettling things I've seen in a long time. And I also really loved the principal, who is also a serial killer who likes putting razors in Halloween candy. And the principal is played by Dylan Baker, who is a really gifted actor who you might know from the movie Happiness, and he's been in so many other things, so look for him on IMDb. And also in the cast are Anna Paquin and the always reliable Brian Cox. The good news is that despite being cursed to direct-to-DVD status, the sales are very impressive so far. Stores are selling out all over the place, and it's currently #5 on the Amazon sales list. So I think it's just remarkable. And I hope that the buzz continues to build and that studios will start paying attention, because I mean, I know I bash the idea of sequels, but I'm already salivating at the thought of a Trick or Treat 2. Because this is the perfect format for a series of films, because you can easily make 4 or 5 new stories, all with a Halloween theme, and just put it in a different town with new characters. There really is no shortage of ideas. So yes, watch this movie. Okay, I am finally finished. Thank you very much for watching my first video blog, and I hope you guys have a great Halloween season. Happy haunting.